Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic, the show here on the John Campea channel where the mic is open. The floor is yours. What do you guys want to talk about? That's what we are here to discuss. I'm, of course, John Campea. Good to have you guys here with me tonight. Now, and just to let you know how you get a question or comment on, if you are watching live, and you've got to be watching live, use the super chat feature in the live chat. Now, normally on the John Campea show, we use a tip link that you send in questions for that you can see right here, www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. But that's only for the John Campea show. So if you've got a question you'd like us to address or answer on the John Campea show, you can use this tip anytime 24/7. But here on Open Mic, it's just for the people who are watching live. So if you are here watching live, you have a question, go ahead and send one in using the super chat feature. And we'll get around to those questions in just a little bit. Good to have you guys here with me tonight. Anne is off hanging out with her brother Ray tonight, so I thought I would take this opportunity to do a live chat. Good to have everybody here. Good to see Q and Griffin and J-Tray and Fanjexture. Good to have you here, Fanjexture. Adrian and FBJ and everybody else. Good to have you guys here. And we're going to get into some stuff. Now, before we get into your live questions, though, that you guys have already been sending in, I want to take a minute to talk about the trailer, because, listen, we've had so many topics the last couple of days on the John Campea show that there's a bunch of things that we haven't even had time to talk about. Like, we didn't talk about Zendaya getting cast in the new Christopher Nolan movie. We haven't talked about Willy Wonka 2 being confirmed by the director. Maybe we'll talk about those in the coming days. But one of the other things that we haven't had really a chance to talk about was the new trailer for Captain America: Brave New World. And we just didn't have time. And like we did talk about the Thunderbolts trailer that came out, because quite frankly, I think Thunderbolts was much better. I thought the trailers, not that the movie's going to be much better, but I thought the trailer itself was much better than the, say, Captain America trailer. So, whatever, there's that. But I did like it. And so I wanted to talk about it just a little bit here, but also talk about it in a bigger picture. Like, what is Captain America 4 going to do for the MCU overall, right? Because one of the things that we've talked about a lot in the last couple of years is that the MCU, while still putting out some very, very good stuff, like since Endgame, we have had some very, very good stuff, right? We've had things like WandaVision. We've had Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We've had, obviously just recently, Deadpool and Wolverine, right? We've had Ms. Marvel. We've had some very, very good things, but overall the momentum had stalled. We'd been getting more mediocre things because during the first 12, 13 years, it felt like you'd go 5, 6, 7 MCU projects in a row that would be fantastic before you got a mediocre one. And then like 3 or 4 more fantastic ones and maybe a mediocre one. And since Endgame, at least to me, it's kind of felt like it's a coin toss. It's hit or miss. You'll get Guardians of the Galaxy 3, yay! And then you get Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, oh. And then you get a Ms. Marvel, yay! And then you get a Secret Invasion. Oh, like it's really been hit or miss. So we've been talking for a while how the MCU's really needed to build some momentum, and Deadpool and Wolverine came around at just the right time, right? Marvel had a great Comic-Con. They had a great D23. Deadpool and Wolverine comes out, smacks the world in the face with its awesomeness. It makes $1.3+ billion, highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Critics loved it. Audiences loved it. Huge win. They absolutely needed it. So right now, we're in a place where Marvel, and people are getting excited for, Daredevil Born Again and stuff like that. So we got the MCU on a bit of heading in the right direction. So next thing coming out in February, theatrically, is Captain America: Brave New World, or Captain America 4. And the question that I have is, okay, now that we've had, again, exciting Comic-Con, exciting D23. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as Doctor Doom. We got Fantastic Four on the move. Deadpool and Wolverine comes out, starting to build some momentum. Is Captain America 4 going to build on that momentum? Or is it going to kill the momentum that they've started? Because that's the thing about momentum, man. Momentum can take a long time to build up and get going, but just like that, momentum can be killed. I liken it unto playing, for any of you guys who play poker, you guys know I play a lot of poker. Play no limit hold'em poker, right? You can play all night. You can play for 7 or 8 hours, and you can start with like $200 in front of you. And then you can build it up to 250, then 275, then 380, then maybe you win a really big pot and you're up to like 600. Then, another hour or two later, you're up to 800. Then maybe another 2 hours later, you're up to $1,200. So in the span of about 6, 7, 8 hours, you went from like having $200 to $1,200. The problem is, in poker, you can lose it all in one hand. You can get it like you get I don't know, you get a full house and you run into quads. And all of a sudden, all that work, all the way, boom, it can be gone. That whole $1,200 gone. It took you 7 or 8 hours to build up, gone just like that. Unfortunately, that's how killing momentum can happen. You do all this stuff and you build, and then all of a sudden something can come along. Now, if you got enough momentum going, in a lot of things in life, like in the movies, you've got a lot of momentum going, a lot of positive momentum going, then you can hit a bump in the road. But right now, to me, Marvel is in the beginning stages of building some momentum. Deadpool and Wolverine was a huge part of that. Huge part of that. But they're not in the place yet that momentum can survive a serious bump. A serious bump right now sits you right back to starting point, right? And will Captain America, Brave New World, be something, again, that builds on that momentum or kills that momentum? And that's the thing we got to ask. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people are wondering right now in terms of what's going to happen with it, where are we going to go, all that kind of good stuff. What's going to happen? So I thought we would look at it from a couple of angles. The one angle is they had to go back and do a lot of reshoots. On the one hand, that is concerning, right? That's the natural tendency. Like when people hear that a whole bunch of reshoots have to be done and whatnot and all that kind of stuff, a lot of people start to worry that what that means is they're going to, that momentum has been killed, right? They hear reshoots are having to be done, and people instantly think, oh no, that means everything's bad. That means everything's, gone to crap and blah, blah. But in reality, what it can also mean, on the other hand, is that, oh good, they caught the problems. They've recognized the problems, and because they're a company like Marvel that has a ton of money that they can go in and do reshoots and fix it, because a lot of movies that get made don't have that kind of money. A lot of movies that get made don't have that budget. If they make the movie and they start to realize this has not gone well, too bad. You spent your budget. That's the movie you got, and that's the movie you got to run with, and that's the movie you got to put out in theaters. There are some movies that are very lucky that they have the financial backing of a studio that says, hey, if it isn't going well, go back to the drawing board, start again. They did that with Daredevil Born Again. We talked about that a lot, right? Like Daredevil Born Again, they were almost finished shooting that show. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Feige got his authority back because Bob Chapek was gone. And Kevin Feige said, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. And whereas before he didn't have the authority to say, we got to stop and start again. Now he had the authority to do that. They stopped, they started again. And now everybody's excited about Daredevil Born Again. They kind of did the same thing with Captain America 4 with Brave New World. They clearly were not happy with the way that it was going. They weren't happy because, again, it can look good on the page, but it's not until you actually start shooting it and start putting it together in the editing room that you really start to get a sense of how it's turning out. Everybody thinks that, oh, if you have a good script, then you know exactly where you're going to get. No, that's not how it works. You can have a good script and still have a bad movie. You don't really know what you got until you've shot some stuff and you're in the editing room. That's when you get that feeling. And clearly with Captain America 4 Brave New World, they were starting to get the dailies. They were starting to edit some stuff together. And they were like, yeah, this ain't it. This ain't it. This is not working out the way we wanted it to work out. But under Bob Chapek, whose philosophy was make as much as you can, as fast as you can, and ship it out the door, they couldn't do anything about it. Kevin Feige gets his authority back. Look, we need to go back to square one on this. They didn't go all the way back to square one, but and they reshot a lot of Captain America 4. Now, will that be for the better? Hope so. Hope so. So right now, I'm going to put in the live chat. I'm going to put a poll for those of you who are watching live right now. Here's the question. Will Cap 4 build the momentum for the MCU? That's the question. And I want you guys, I put it up for those of you watching live. I just put it into the live chat now. Will Captain America 4 build the momentum? Click yes if you think yes. If you think no, that's going to actually derail the momentum, go ahead and click no. For me personally, and again, I don't know how it's going to turn out. Because again, Marvel's put out a lot of stuff in the last little while that I haven't been satisfied with as a fan. I think because of the reshoots, because of the exhaustive reshoots they've done, I think that's a positive thing. That is going to lead to it being a better product and will, in fact, build the momentum. You know what the funny thing is? I've got more belief in Thunderbolts. Is that crazy? I never would have thought that 6 months ago, but I actually have more belief in Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts, I'm actually starting to believe that Thunderbolts is going to be great. I think it's going to be great. I have a lot of hope for it. But I think Captain America 4 is going to do well, and I think it's going to build the momentum, but maybe not. So let me just go over to see what you guys are saying in the poll right now. So far, we got 155 of you have voted already. 76% of you are saying yes, you think the momentum will be built by Captain America 4. 24% are saying no, you don't think it'll build the momentum. You think it's going to kill. And I understand. I get it. For those of you who think it's not going to build the momentum, I get it. Totally do. There have been a lot of question marks surrounding this. Listen, I still don't know that I buy Sam as the new Captain America. Not because I don't like the Sam character. I love Anthony Mackie's Sam. I think Sam's been a great character. But I just believe that Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers. Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers. Like, you don't just get to take the name and slap it on somebody else. I've never believed that. I don't like that for any characters. Just like I believe there is one Batman, Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is Batman, is Bruce Wayne, is Batman, is Bruce Wayne, is Batman. I've just always thought that. And not that somebody else can't fill in for Batman now and again, like Dick Grayson is filled in for Batman. Why am I freezing on his name? Who filled in for Batman during Nightfall? Azrael? I think it was Azrael. Azrael filled in for Batman for a while. That didn't work out so well. It's okay for somebody to fill in, but Bruce Wayne is Batman. No, John, you don't understand. Batman is a mantle. Bruce Wayne is Batman. John, but you don't understand. See, in the comics, this isn't the comics, this is the MCU. Now, that being said, I love the Sam Wilson character. I don't care if you call him Falcon. I don't care if you call him Captain America. I like the Sam Wilson character very much, so I'm looking forward to seeing the movie. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. So we're going to call it right now. We've had a little over 200 votes. 72% of you are saying, yes, Captain America 4 will build the momentum for the MCU. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I hope we get down to it and this movie is really good and it takes that positive momentum the MCU's had lately with some of the wins that they've had, particularly with Deadpool and Wolverine, and build on it. And because if they can, I think they're positioned really well with Thunderbolts coming after that. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm still not excited for Ironheart at all. I'm not excited right now for Wonder Man. I think it's got potential. I think Wonder Man has potential. but I'm not excited about it. I was excited for Armor Wars with Don Cheadle. I was excited for that, but now apparently they're going to make that into a movie. So, but there's no word on when that movie will or will not come. So, we'll see about that, but there's not a lot I'm really excited about right now. Obviously Fantastic Four is coming, but that's a little bit later down the road. So we'll see how that turns out. And we'll see, but you know what? One of the things that I'm very excited about for Captain America 4, I'm excited. I didn't think they would do it. I got to admit, I did not think they would do it. I did not think they would do Red Hulk with Thunderbolt Ross. I didn't think, obviously in the comics, yes, but I didn't think they would do it on the movie screen. And clearly they are. And I got to tell you, I think I'm pretty excited for it. That is a great looking Harrison Ford Hulk. I don't care what anybody says. That is a great looking Harrison Ford Hulk. That's a Harrison Ford, get off my lawn kind of face. I like that a lot. By the way, Maurice in the live chat is reminding me of Agatha has built the momentum too. Agatha turned out to be a surprise hit. So we all now just have to sit and wait. Sit and wait a little bit. For Captain America 4. For Captain America 4. And we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think? Do you think Captain America 4 will build that momentum that Deadpool, Agatha, Comic-Con, D23, all these things coming together have started to build some momentum for the MCU again? Will it build on that, or do you think it's going to be so bad it'll kill that momentum? And then along comes Thunderbolts, and they're going to have to start from scratch again. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's actually get over to the whole reason we're here, which is taking your live questions here, shall we? So let's jump in, and we are going to start things off. I think we're starting off with CR. Let me see if I got that right. There he is, CR. Okay. We're going to start off with CR, and CR asks, I just started watching a show called Modern Family. I love Modern Family. Which I hear you like. I do like it. It's pretty good. My favorite character so far is Phil. You know what? Ed O'Neill, of course, from Married with Children fame, kind of the lead of the show. And maybe they're all lead characters really, but Ed O'Neill is really kind of the anchor of that show. I was very late to the Modern Family party. I think I only started watching some of it when it was already in season 3 or something. I got to tell you, it's one of those shows that is so crisp, so sharp. The writing is the wit is so fast. It's just a brilliantly done show. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the best written sitcom shows I've ever seen. You know, I don't quite put Modern Family on the same level as, say, Seinfeld, The Office, Parks and Rec, but it's right in that next tier below that. You know what I mean? But the writing in it was like some of the best I'd ever seen. So yeah, I love Modern Family. I'm glad you're watching it too. Ann and I will still every once in a while just pop on a random episode of Modern Family and just watch it because it's just so good. All right. Next up, CR also writes, you and Anne should audition to be on The Amazing Race. Yes, that show is still on. I'm going to tell you something. Might surprise you. I have never seen an episode of The Amazing Race. I get it. It's like you're in a teams of 2 or teams of 3 and you got to get somewhere, I guess. Other than that, I have no idea. So I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm just saying I've never seen it. So maybe Ann and I would be good at it. Maybe we wouldn't be so good at it. You never know. All right. Thanks for that, CR. Next up, we got Dwayne who writes, hey, John, have you seen Arcane yet? Yes. Now, obviously you guys know, if you watch the show on a regular basis, you know that Arcane was, when it first started, it was a show I had no interest in, like none. And then I had a bunch of our viewers write into me saying, John, I think you'll really like it. So thought, fine, I'll give it a shot. In just one season, Arcane has become my all-time favorite animated show. And I'm not using hyperbole either, and I'm not exaggerating. Absolutely, Arcane is my all-time favorite animated show. I love it. So season 2 dropped its first 3 episodes the other day. Ann and I didn't have a chance to watch it because we've been really busy the weekend. But finally tonight, earlier this evening, we sat down and watched the first 3 episodes of season 2. So good. So good. When we finally get that clash with Vi and Jinx, and we're only on episode 3. It's only on episode 3. I just, oh God, I love it. It's just, it's hard to explain about when somebody who hasn't seen Arcane, it's difficult to explain, but for those of you who've watched it, you know, it's been really, really good so far. I've enjoyed it a lot. All right. Thanks for that, Dwayne. Next up, NK writes, they should cast Vic as the live action Miles Morales. I don't know, just because he looks a little bit like you would picture Miles. I've never thought that's a good reason to cast somebody. Now, he is great. I forget the kid's name, but the kid who plays Vic in Penguin is the same kid from The Runaways. That was kind of like a Marvel attached show that was on Hulu. I used to really like The Runaways. I liked that show a lot. And he was really good in that. It was great to see him in this. But yeah, and he's really good. I mean, sure, if they cast him as Miles, I'd be for it. But just because he kind of looks like with the hair and stuff, that's not a reason to cast somebody. But he's a very good actor. That is a good reason. So if they did announce that they cast him tomorrow, I'd be down for it. All right. Next up, we've got Murray Reich writes, saw Heretic and was pleasantly surprised. Unsettling / tense. Hugh Grant gave a great performance. Listen, I haven't seen Heretic yet, but I really want to because I really like Hugh Grant. I think for a decade, people have slept on Hugh Grant. But every time he pops up in something, he's great in it. Doesn't matter if he's the bad guy in Paddington 2. It doesn't matter if he's in like Man from U.N.C.L.E. that he was in with Armie Hammer and Henry Cavill. I thought he was great in that. He's an Oompa Loompa, for heaven's sakes, in Wonka. Then he was in that, what was the name of that one that just had Josh Hartnett in it? It was a Guy Ritchie film, Josh Hartnett in it. Something about Jules. It was some kind of heist film, and I'm forgetting the name of it, and Hugh Grant was in it. Aubrey Plaza was in it. Guys, anybody remember the name of the movie I'm talking about? It had Hugh Grant, Aubrey Plaza, Jason Statham, and I'm totally forgetting the name of it. Somebody in the live chat, figure it out for me and throw it in there because I'm totally forgetting it. But anyway, Hugh Grant was in that. Thought he was fabulous. Hugh Grant is always good. No, it wasn't Spy. Charles Bronson saying Spies. Operation Fortune, Jeremy Miller, first one to put it in, was Operation Fortune. That was it. That was really good. And also, Polar Burr is mentioning The Gentleman. Hugh Grant was so good in The Gentleman. By the way, The Gentleman is just great. Both the movie was great with Matthew McConaughey and the television series is great too. I was surprised how good the TV series is. But anyway, so yeah, watch both of them. But yeah, everybody always sleeps on Hugh Grant. Don't sleep on Hugh Grant. The dude is amazing. He can do absolutely anything. All right. Thanks for that, Murray. Next up, we got Andy who writes, one of two. Been a while, so it's time to update you on September and October as I've watched 18 films, nice, that came out during those months, and 10 of them, Red Rooms, The Substance, finally got around to watching The Substance. Jonathan was right. Very disturbing film. My Old Ass with the aforementioned Aubrey Plaza, Saturday Night, which was great. Piece by Piece, I haven't seen that. The Apprentice, I also haven't watched The Apprentice yet. A Different Man I'm not familiar with. Superman, amazing. So good. Rumors, I'm not familiar with. And We Live in Time, I took a pass on We Live in Time. We're all original films. Listen, I'm glad you keep bringing those up, Andy. Because everybody, whenever, I mean, this is the old thing, right? Guys, I've been doing this a long time. And like every other day, somebody thinks they make themselves sound smart by going, oh, there's no original films anymore. Motherfuckers, there is more original films today than in any other time in human history. And that's not exaggeration. That is a statistical fact. More original film gets made today than in any other time in human history. It's just that a lot of people don't go see it. That's the thing. A lot of people skip on the original films. And that makes it rough. And then, every once in a while, we'll open up the release calendar on the show and we'll start going down. It's like original sequel, remake, original sequel, original based on a book, original. And it's always, the original always outweighs everything else. But everybody always wants to pretend like they're artsy, they're artistic, they're poshy, and they think they make themselves sound smart. But go, oh, there's no original. Hollywood doesn't have any original ideas anymore. Stupid sons of bitches. There's so much original film out there. You just have to, go out there and give it a chance. That's all. So I'm glad you keep reminding people of that, Andy. Good on you for doing that. All right. Next up, we've got Risky Pins writes, hey, John, this weekend I got to go to a Comic-Con in the Twin Cities. Nice. I got to meet Josh Keaton. He's a voice actor, is he not? I think. And Troy Baker is definitely a voice actor. And more, and I had a great time. The one character I know Troy does is, and guys, I know everybody's going to correct me if I'm wrong, but he's the original voice of Joel from The Last of Us, right? Can somebody in live chat confirm that for me? Anyway, my favorite voice actor is Chris Carr. That's my favorite voice actor. But okay. And people saying, yes, he's the guy who did Joel. So I got that right. Other than a few, I'm not really familiar with a lot of voice actors' names. Like after you get out of the 80s cartoons with like Peter Cullen, I'm not really familiar with a lot of voice actors' names, but those are the ones I recognize. It's funny because today, correct me if you think I'm wrong. Voice actors today seem to be far more well-known for their video game work than they are for their animation work. And I think part of that is because back around Toy Story, like when the first Toy Story came out, it started this trend because before Toy Story, I don't remember a lot of animated movies. And I might be wrong about this, but I don't remember a lot of animated movies going out of the way just to recruit famous celebrities to do the voices. Instead, they usually just use trained professional voice actors. And I feel like ever since Toy Story, and I'm sure they did get famous voices before, but I feel like it became a major trend. Once Toy Story came out, that then all these animated movies are just loaded with recognizable celebrity names. And I've never understood that. Like, why? You're not going to see their face. So I'm not really sure about that. But now voice actors seem to really get their star from doing video game work. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's just kind of what it seems like to me. All right. Thanks for that, Risky Pins. Next up, we got Aiden Foley who writes, did you get around to watching Despicable Me 4? Yeah, I did about a month ago. Now, I remember... Okay, I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story. All right? I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story. And I don't look good in this story. I was already having a little bit of a rough day, just to give myself a little bit of slack. But true story, and I don't end up looking good in this. So Anne, me, and Ray get in the car and we go to the AMC Tyler Galleria in Riverside to go to see Despicable Me 4 when it was in theaters. And if I'm remembering it correctly, I don't have my phone in here, but I used the app to order food in advance, because at some AMCs you can order your food in advance and pay for it on the app. And then when you get to the theater, there's a place where your order is sitting there waiting for you. It's a great experience. Instead of standing in a line and waiting to go, I just show up at the theater and there it is. There's my empty soda cup. There's my bucket of popcorn and my bag of M&Ms or Reese's Pieces or whatever I'm getting. And it's sitting right there and I grab it and I go in, right? Okay. So we go, and Ray and I go to I'm telling you, this is an embarrassing story because I look really stupid in this. We go to the AMC Burbank Tyler Galleria and we go in and I go up to to the counter and my order's not there yet. I'm thinking, okay, it's close to the time. Maybe they just haven't put it out yet. I'll wait a few minutes. So I wait a couple of minutes and it still doesn't come out. And now the movie's starting pretty soon. So I finally go, excuse me, I'm just waiting for an order for John C. Do you got my order for John C? And they go, oh, sorry, give me a second. And he goes in the back, comes out, we don't have any order for John C. And now I'm a little, hey, come on now. I paid my money. I did. I paid like $20 to get a soda, a little candy, a big thing of popcorn. It was close to $20. I'm like, oh, come on now. No, I put in my order. I know what I paid. He's like, can you show me your confirmation? I said, absolutely. So I pull out my phone. I'm going to show this guy my confirmation, not having my food ready. And I go, yes, there it is, my confirmation. And the guy looks at it and goes, oh, sir, you bought the food for the AMC Burbank 16 in Burbank, California. And I'm like, I was so mad. Not just because my delicious food wasn't there waiting for me. Not just because I wasted $20, but also because I just made myself look like a freaking ass in front of this guy working at the movie theater trying to help me out. And I'm like, oh, no, I paid for my stuff. Let me show you on my phone, like an arrogant asshole. Let me show you on my fucking phone where I bought my food. See? Oh. Well, aren't I the asshole? I mean, I don't get me, I wasn't mean to the guy. I was like, he was trying to help me out. I know that, but I'm thinking, but I look like a freaking fool. And I was so mad. I left. I left the theater. I was in such a bad mood after that because I didn't have my food. I wasted that money and I just made myself look like a stupid idiot in front of the dude at the movie theater. And I was already having kind of a rough day. And I just turned to Anne and I just said, honey, you and Ray go in and enjoy the movie. I'm just going to go sit in the car. And I did. I left the theater and I just went and sat in the car and watched YouTube videos for like almost 2 hours until Anne Ray. So I never did see Despicable Me 4. So I finally got around to watching it. Yeah, that was not my finest hour. So, and I can admit it. So, I didn't actually get out around to go seeing it until about a month ago. We watched it at home and it was okay. Like, I'm a big fan of the Despicable Me franchise. Like I like the last Minions movie I thought was really good. I love Despicable Me 1. I love Despicable Me 2. I wasn't a fan of Despicable Me 3. I thought Despicable Me 4 was better than 3, but still not as good as 1 and 2. So I thought it was okay. Anyway, that's a very long answer to a very simple question of, did you get around to watching Despicable Me 4? Anyway, next up, we got Jake, who writes, I kind of have a hard time believing that The Final Reckoning is actually going to be the final Mission Impossible movie. Didn't Cruise say recently he had no plans on stopping those movies anytime soon? I could be wrong. Yeah, listen, just to be clear, like, nobody has said from the studio or anything that this is the final Mission Impossible movie. As far as I know, nobody has said that. We were talking about the new Mission Impossible Final Reckoning trailer the other day, and I said it kind of feels like it's going to be the last one, right? Because there's, the title of it is Final Reckoning. The trailer has a lot of alluding to older Mission Impossible movies. Like, this is kind of like the summation of the Mission Impossible franchise. And then they have that one shot of Ethan talking to somebody going, I need you to trust me one last time. And remember, Tom Cruise, I don't have the list in front of me now, but we talked about a few weeks ago. He's got this list of all these other movies he's got coming up. and doing. And he just signed a new deal with Warner Brothers that does not do the Mission Impossible films. He's got a deal. He's got to do this movie that he's going to be doing in space. He's got like 1 or 2 other movies he's still doing. I mean, he's got like 4 or 5 other movies lined up already right now. And he's in his 60s. And so again, I'm not saying it will be the last movie, and nobody from the studio is saying it's going to be the last one. I'm just saying it kind of feels a bit like it's going to be the last one. Because even if he wants to do another one, it's probably going to be a good 4 or 5 years before he's going to be able to make another one because of his upcoming schedule. So I don't know. We'll see. All I know is this. I know not everybody loved Dead Reckoning. I did. I didn't think it was the best Mission Impossible movie, but I thought it was great. I really enjoyed Dead Reckoning. So I'm looking forward to seeing Final Reckoning when it comes out in theaters. Whether it's the final one or not, we'll find out. All right. Thanks a lot for that, Jake. Appreciate you, man. Next up, Isaac Cushman writes, just watched the new Shrinking. I get misty each episode, but this time I fucking cried. 5 stars. I haven't seen the news. Did they drop the newest one tonight? I thought the new episodes drop on Wednesdays. I could be wrong about that. Did they drop today? Did a new episode drop on Tuesday? Anyway, guys, listen, I've kind of made it feels like my mission in life to be an evangelist for Shrinking. You guys have to watch this show. It's so fucking good. It's so good. Harrison Ford has not been this good in over a decade. Jason Segel in it is fantastic. His chemistry with Harrison Ford is great. All the supporting cast is wonderful. It's wonderfully written. Guys, seriously, if you haven't tried, it's on Apple TV. It's hilarious. It's emotional. It's just a wonderful one of the best things on TV right now. So if you don't have Apple TV, Shrinking, I believe, is one of those shows that is worth getting Apple TV for. Get it. And then you can watch Silo. And then you can get ready for Ted Lasso season 4. Anyway, a lot of good stuff on Apple TV Plus. All right. Next up, Tor sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Tor. And Tor writes, hey, good morning. 5:30 here in Norway. Well, good morning to you as well. Oops, I dropped my brick. Anyway, when is the next town hall and bring on the filthy? You know what's funny? Me and Ray, give me a second. I got to pick this up. Ray and I were just talking about when we're doing our next town hall. I think we're going to do one this week. For those of you who aren't familiar, Town Halls is just a live stream like this, but we only do it with channel members, not subscribers, channel members. And we haven't done one in a while. We haven't had a lot of updates to give, but we have some updates to give right now. So we're probably going to aim for this week. If not this week, then early next week, either Monday or Tuesday, probably Tuesday of next week, because we do Filthy Sports on Mondays. So probably Tuesday of next week, I'm thinking, is when the next thing. By the way, Tor just gifted 10 members. We're talking about the town halls are for channel members, and Tor just gifted 10 memberships to people. Thank you, Tor. Appreciate that, man, very much. So yes, I would say look for Tuesday. A week from today is probably when we're going to do the next town hall meeting. And now all these people can come and be a part of that town hall meeting as well. Thank you so much for that, Tor. Appreciate that, man. All right. Next up, we got Christian Colbert, who writes, I can't believe you had to navigate Hamilton before the Lincoln Alexander Parkway was built. Yeah, listen, for those of you who don't know, like, I'm from the greatest city in the world, Hamilton, Ontario. It's my hometown. Went to St. Jean de Brebeuf High School, which was right beside St. Thomas More High School, which is where the big superstar in the Oklahoma City Thunder plays right now. Anyway, where he went to high school. So he was in my competing high school. We were in the Catholic high school system. And getting around, particularly up on the mountain, was always long because the mountain was a big place. Then when I was in high school, they built something called the Link. It was a highway that ran from the east end of the mountain to the west end of the mountain. And you could just hop on it, because before it would take you like a half hour to get from the east side of the mountain to the west side of the mountain, all the way to the west side of the mountain. Once they built the Link, you could be from the east side of the mountain all the way to the west side in about 5 minutes. And it changed everything. And yes, Christian, now when I go back and visit, and we jump on the link, I just think to myself, how did we get around in here before they built the link? It was a totally different time. All right, next up, Daryl Bassa writes, for me, Penguin earned Show of the Year, slightly beating Shogun. No, to me, it's not in Shogun's class, but it was fantastic. I love Penguin, but it wasn't as good as Shogun to me. Both had great build up to the finale, but Penguin's finale was something different. Oh, I loved Penguin's finale. I thought they absolutely stuck the landing. There were like 3, 4, or 5 moments in Penguin that my jaw dropped open. The thing with Eve at the end, the thing with Vic. There were just several moments throughout it. There was a very Godfather type of ending to it where people were taking care of family business. It was just fantastic. I loved it. I would put money on the fact that I believe 100% it's going to be nominated for the Emmy for Best Drama of the Year. I don't know that's going to win, but I think 100% it'll be nominated. But to me, Shogun is still just the next level up. I still think Shogun's the next level up, but it's one of the best shows of the year. I absolutely loved it. I couldn't believe how good it was. All right. Last question before we just take a short break. Nick Wilbur writes, Daredevil / Andor season 2 back-to-back will carry. I don't know what you mean will carry, but that's a couple of things to be very excited for coming to Disney+. Disney+, I think earlier today put out their little coming soon to Disney+, little montage video, where we got some Andor season 2 footage and some Percy Jackson footage, season 2 of Percy Jackson footage. By the way, I surprisingly liked Percy Jackson season 1, so I'm looking forward to season 2. But Andor, man. Andor. Some people don't like it when I say this, but I really don't care. Andor is the single best thing Star Wars has done since Return of the Jedi. I'm not saying it's as good as Return. I'm saying since Return of the Jedi. I think it's simply flat out the best thing Star Wars has done. And there's been a lot of Star Wars stuff that I have liked since Return of the Jedi. Not all of it. Some of it's very bad. But there's been a lot of Star Wars stuff that I've liked since Return of the Jedi. But to me, hands down, no question asked, Andor is the best thing they've done. Tony Gilroy just caught something. Like he's just got this vision for how to work in this world that really no other storyteller has been able to do in this world so far. And I'm not saying that all Star Wars stuff should feel like Andor, not at all. But I'm just saying it's really refreshing having something like Andor in the Star Wars universe, and I cannot wait. And again, Daredevil season 1. Daredevil, Born Again, season 1 is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for it. All right, guys, listen, we still have more questions to get to from you guys. If you still have a question, I'm going to leave the super chats open for a few minutes more. If you still have a question you want to fire in, go ahead and do that. But I'm warning you, I'm going to be turning off super chats in a bit. They'll stay open for another little while longer. But before we do, we're going to take a quick minute here and thank a couple of sponsors of our channel, our friends over at The Perfect Gene and Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Gene. So the colder season is here, and guess what? I am living in the perfect jean. These jeans are super stretchy, soft, and totally trick people into thinking I've got my life together. And I'm telling you this because I actually love them. These are absolutely, no questions asked, my favorite jeans that I have ever owned. And yes, the folks over at The Perfect Gene are paying me to say that, but it's still absolutely true. These are my favorite jeans ever. These jeans have enough stretch to accommodate Thanksgiving dinner and are comfy enough to wear all day watching Sunday football. Plus, even though they feel like sweatpants, they look good enough to be your go-to pants for date night. And listen, the Perfect Gene isn't even just pants. They've revolutionized t-shirts as well. The Perfect Tee has just enough stretch to hide that beer belly while accentuating your arms and chest for that flawless look. My guys, it's finally time to stop crushing your balls in uncomfortable jeans by going to theperfectgene.nyc. Our listeners get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use the code Campea at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with the promo code Campea. And after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them we sent you. F your khakis and get the Perfect Gene. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's TRYMIRACLE.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at The Perfect Gene and, of course, Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of Open Mic. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on and get to the final bunch of your questions that you guys have sent in here, shall we? We're going to pick things up here with Dwayne, who writes, "Hey, John, a while back you mentioned you tried The Way of Kings audiobook." Yeah, I did. And it wasn't the best entry in the world, which is main complaint of series, and might try the ebook instead. Had a chance? No, I gave up on it. So everybody told me, what's the overall name of the series? Like, I think book 1 was called The Way of Kings. What's the name of the series? Like, a lot of people rave about this book series. Anyway, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Somebody will throw it into the live chat, I'm sure. Anyway, so I thought, okay, everybody's talking about this book series and tell me I should give it a shot. So I went out and got the Stormlight, a silly goose was the first person to put in a Stormlight Archive. Stormlight Archive is what the series is called. So I got the first book, Way of Kings, on Audible. And I thought, great, when I'm at the gym and I'm on the treadmill in the morning, I love having something to listen to for that, half hour to 45 minutes of mind-numbing nothingness. So I get on there and I put on the audiobook and I couldn't follow a thing. And listen, I've read a lot. Like I can follow most, but like I got about a half hour into the audiobook of The Way of Kings. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And I tapped out. I'm like, like, look, to me, entertainment, it's not something you should have to work for. Like, my thing is, it's the responsibility is on the writer, the filmmaker, the television showrunner, whatever. It's your responsibility to get me into your story. It's not my responsibility to just hang in there until I get into your story. That's your job. And if you don't do your job, then it's not my job to just keep on it anyway. I've got other things I'd rather do. Now, listen, I'm not trying to speak negatively of The Way of Kings. I'm not trying to speak negatively of Stormlight Archive at all. I'm just saying that for me, it wasn't working. And I don't feel like it's my responsibility to just hang in there with it. That's not my responsibility. So I kind of ditched on it. I kind of ditched on it. And some say, I take it John isn't a David Lynch fan. No, John's a David Lynch fan because David Lynch, listen, even when he's doing his convoluted stuff, David Lynch lays out a path and he takes the audience down that path. And so, but that's just me. So not everything's going to work for everybody. I'm sure there are people out there who didn't like reading Lord of the Rings because of the pages and pages and pages of walking through grassy hills. I get it. If some people that doesn't work, it worked for me. Way of Kings didn't work for me, at least not in the first half hour. So I never did get back around to it, to be honest with you. Maybe someday I will. All right. Next up. Where are we at here? That was Dwayne. Thank you, Dwayne. Rick Alfonso writes, "Hey, John, I met you, Anne and Ray, at Comic-Con this year. Oh, that's great. About Captain America 4, and with all its connections to Hulk characters like Ross, Betty, Stearns, why isn't Ruffalo in it as Banner? Couldn't tell you. We haven't seen the movie, so I have no idea why. But listen, just because, I mean, remember, Bruce has not been with Betty forever. He probably also hasn't thought about Stearns in 12 years. And since he's not connected to Betty anymore, he's not really connected to Ross anymore. So, I mean, you might as well ask, why isn't Thor in this? You might as well ask, why isn't Bucky in this? I mean, literally, Falcon and Winter Soldier just had a show together. Why isn't Bucky in this? You can ask, why isn't Spider-Man in this? So, ultimately, Canadian Spring puts in a really good point. We don't know that Hulk isn't in this. I mean, for all we know, Bruce does show up as Hulk. Because the one thing, we talked about this on the show the other day. Sam ain't fighting Hulk. He's not fighting Red Hulk. I mean, you can fight him, but you're going to lose. So Sam can't win against a Hulk, right? He cannot win against a Hulk. So either Sam has to be fighting to inject him with something that will turn him back into Ross, or somebody else has to show up to help him. Maybe that's Sentry. Maybe Sentry is in this, and then they lock him up, and that's where we find him in Thunderbolts. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. I'm just trying to throw out hypotheticals here. Maybe Bruce does show up, and we got a Green Hulk versus Red Hulk thing. Maybe She-Hulk shows up. I mean, I don't know. But I mean, since Bruce hasn't been connected to Betty in so many years, there's no real reason why Bruce would be in it. So I think it would put it on the same level of asking, why isn't Thor in this? Why doesn't Vision come and help him out? Why doesn't Bucky? I mean, again, for me, the bigger one is, why isn't Bucky there? But I'm sure they'll come up with a good reason for it once we actually see the movie. You know what I mean? All right. Yeah, Robert Pressers. Don't forget, Bruce is busy. He's at the barbecue. Bruce is at the family barbecue with his idiot-looking son. Remember? That's where he is. So yeah, we'll see. All right. Thanks for that, Rick. And again, we'll find out when we see the movie. All right. Prizzy writes, Part 1. Hey, John, I've been watching since I was 18. I'm 26 now. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. First time super chatting. Thank you for that as well. Did you see today's Hollywood Report article on the future of Star Wars films? I think Lucasfilm... Oh, no, wait a second. Where's part 2? Yeah, I think Lucasfilm could really use a complete overhaul, at least in the film and TV area. The game / comic / animation are usually pretty good, but the live action stuff is just not cutting it. Well, again, except for Andor. Look, with as much crap as I give Kathleen Kennedy, and you guys who watch the show, I'm often very, very harsh against Kathleen. Listen, I think Kathleen Kennedy is a first ballot Hall of Famer in Hollywood. She's one of the greatest producers of all time. Kevin, if you don't believe that, take it up with Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg says she's the greatest producer in Hollywood of all time. So you don't agree with that? You argue with Steven Spielberg. But it is a different job from just being a movie producer to being the head of a studio. Those are two different jobs. She is a wonderful, true producer. She is not a good studio head. She's just not good. Now, all that said, the fact of the matter is, much like the MCU lately, Star Wars has had its wins, right? I mean, people tend to turn a blind eye to that. It's like people are so weak-minded that, they feel like if they acknowledge something was good, then that undermines their position that everything else is bad. It doesn't. You can think something is bad while acknowledging the good parts. And you can acknowledge something is good while acknowledging the bad parts. Too many people are like, it's good and everything in it is perfect. or it's bad, everything sucks. Like, no, like you can acknowledge, like, I hate the prequels, but you know what? I'll talk about the things I love in the prequels. I love Darth Maul. I love the Qui-Gon Obi-Wan Maul fight. I love the pod race scene. I love frickin' Yoda fight scenes. I know a lot of people don't. I do. I love watching Yoda jumping all over the place. I hate the prequels. I hate them, but I can talk about the things that are good in them, that I like about them. Anyway, Star Wars under Disney has had its wins, right? Rogue One is fantastic. Rebels is great. I don't care what anybody else says. I really, like, you can think what you want about what happened afterwards. I think The Force Awakens was really good. Not as good as Rogue One, but I thought The Force Awakens was really good. And then it progressively went downhill until we ended up with the horrible Rise of Skywalker, whatever. Obi-Wan, I didn't think was very good. Mandalorian season 1 was really good. Mandalorian season 2 was also pretty good. I didn't like Obi-Wan. I didn't like Ahsoka. I didn't like Acolyte. What else have we got? I didn't like Mandalorian season 3. But I loved Andor. So, you know, it's had its wins. It's had its wins. And I think you got to be able to acknowledge that even when you say overall it's not very healthy. And I agree. Overall, it's not very healthy. And I think Kathleen Kennedy's got to go. But there have been wins along the way. I am, though, I got to say, quite excited for Skeleton Crew. Because you got John Watts, who directed the 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, running this thing. I think he's going to kill it. I love the trailers. Then again, I love the trailers for The Acolyte, too. Look how that turned out. Wah, wah. So, I mean, yeah, sure. But I do think the trailers for Skeleton Crew look great. I trust the director completely. So I think that's going to be good. And, you know, and then we'll see. But I do agree. They need an overhaul. And it needs to start with a new head of the studio. Not a producer, a true head of studio. I think that's what they need to get and bring in. And hopefully they will. But for now, we still have Kathleen Kennedy. And I just don't believe they're ever going to... Look, I still believe under Kathy Kennedy, they can have the odd win here and there. Like Skeleton Crew. I still believe they can put out some good stuff. But we are not, to use a sports terminology, Star Wars is never going to have a culture of winning as long as Kathleen Kennedy is still there. They'll still eke out a win or two here and there. I do believe that. Here and there, they're going to eke out a win or two. I believe that. But they are never going to develop a culture of winning until she's gone. And you know what? I don't even think she has to leave the company as a whole. Just get a new head of the studio in and let her just truly function as a producer. I think she can have success, but she cannot be the head of the studio. I've talked ad nauseum before about all the true jobs of the head of the studio, and she's just not good at any of those things. So anyway, there's that. We'll see. But they have done, let's not lose sight that they have done some good things. All right. Thanks for that, Prizzy. All right, we'll jump back now here because we also had, I think, a Silly Goose who wrote, "Hey, John, haven't written for a while. No problem. So I just wanted to show some support. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm up in a hotel tonight on a work trip, so this stream and the new episode of Shrinking tonight are saving me." So there is a new episode of Shrinking tonight. Okay, I thought it came out on Wednesday. I have to go check it out. You know what's funny? I'm probably going out of town this weekend because my wife, Anne, is heading up to San Francisco for a work conference for the weekend. She actually leaves tomorrow. Anne's leaving tomorrow for 5 days. So she's gone Wednesday to Sunday. And so I think I'm going to hop in a car and drive out to Vegas for the weekend. Because I enjoy Vegas. I like going out to Vegas, going out there, playing some poker, whatever. I'm also going for another reason, because Anne and I kind of have something in mind, kind of an undertaking kind of thing. And I'm not going to say what it is just yet, but just to do some initial groundwork. Let's just say that. Do some initial groundwork. If we go ahead and pull the trigger on what we're thinking about, I'll let you guys know. But anyway, I'm going to go out there. I think I'm going to go out, and I'm thinking about doing Friday's show from the hotel. And what I mean is I think Ray and Jonathan and Chris will be here in studio, and then I'll Zoom in. I'll use Zoom or Skype or something like that and Zoom in and do the show for there. So I'm probably going to do one from the hotel. So there's that. Anyway, wherever you are tonight, whatever you're doing, hope you're having a good thing. And I hope our little show is helping you feel like you got a little bit of home with you. All right. That down. Let's keep going on here. Thank you for that, Silly Goose. Appreciate that. Next up, we got Hosea XCI who writes, Colin Farrell's Penguin is right up there with Heath Ledger's Joker as the best DC villain on the big screen. It gets easier, sends chills up my spine. You know, I often like to try to take some time between when a new project comes out and any declarations of like, Colin Farrell's Penguin is right up there now with Heath Ledger's Joker, right? Like, because Heath Ledger's Joker is iconic. It's all time. It was an Oscar-winning performance. It was all those things. Most people would agree, not everybody, but I think it's fair to say most people would agree it was the greatest villain performance in a comic book movie ever. Not everybody will agree with that, but I think a lot of people will. So Penguin is just finished. And I may end up feeling like, yep, Colin Farrell's Penguin's performance is right up there with Heath's. But that's such a proclamation that I think I'm going to give it a few weeks to really think about it and marinate on it a little bit. But the very fact that we're even talking about it, the very fact that we're even talking about Colin Farrell's performance maybe being up there with Heath Ledger's is a testament to just how good he was in this movie or in this show. And I honestly believe there are multiple Emmy nominations coming for this. I think Miliotti's got a nomination coming. I think the kid who plays Vic is going to have a nomination coming. I think obviously Colin Farrell is going to have a nomination coming. I think the woman who played Oz's mom is going to have a nomination coming. Hell, I think even the guy who played Johnny Vitti might get a nomination. I really do. And who knows, maybe can't Clancy Brown. I don't know. I mean, probably not. There's maybe not Clancy Brown, but Clancy Brown was fantastic in this show. He was so good as Maroni. So anyway, yeah, there's going to be a lot to go around, but I definitely think Colin Farrell will be one of those, is going to be nominated for Best Actor in a drama series. But do I put him up there with Heath Ledger? I very well might, but I like to give that a little bit of time to really soak and marinate and think about that before I say something like that. But I don't necessarily disagree with you, man. I really don't. All right. Next up, we got Mufasa writes, you have forgotten me, Simba. That's such a great line when he's looking up at the stars and all that kind of stuff. Listen, I'm telling you what. I am looking forward to Mufasa for no other reason than the director. You've got an Oscar-winning, world-class director doing this movie. I really liked the most recent Lion King, the 3D animated Lion King. I know a lot of people didn't. I don't think it's as good as the original animated Lion King, but I don't care. I still thought it was very, very good. And I enjoyed it a lot. Made over $1 billion, like all that kind of stuff. I believe in Mufasa. I do. Like I said, strictly because of the filmmaker. The filmmaker's what's got me sold on it. So here's hoping it'll end up being good. We'll see. All right. Next up. Prizzy again writes, I should mention I love Andor, some of Mando, even a good chunk of the sequel trilogy, but I think overall there's been more misses than hits for Star Wars. I don't think that's unfair to say. I don't think that's unfair. Like for me personally, as I go down through the list, I mean, Last Jedi, I'll be honest with you, there are things about The Last Jedi I really liked. And there are things about The Last Jedi I really hated. Overall, I think I liked it. Like nowhere near as much as I liked The Force Awakens. I really like The Force Awakens. I mean, I've told the story many times. Me and John Schnepp, we used to like just And as soon as we had some free time in the afternoons in between shows, we would run across the street to the AMC Burbank 16 and just go in and watch Star Wars The Force Awakens again. We liked it that much. Last Jedi had some good things about it, had some really bad things about it, but then oh my God, The Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker was so bad. It was so bad. I just like I actually even did like a full long editorial video about all the things wrong with the Rise of Skywalker, I should say. On the TV front, like you said, Mando season 2. But there is The Rise of Skywalker, which is horrible. I ended up being pretty disappointed in Obi-Wan. I thought it started strong, but I thought it ended up being pretty disappointing. I thought Ahsoka ended up being just a useless endeavor. The Acolyte was just terrible. Mandalorian season 3. I mean, yeah, it's, again, like I said, I think overall it's a mess. I think it needs to be rehauled, but it does have some wins. It absolutely does have some wins. All right, next up. Where are we at here? We are at Mason, who writes, are you excited for Nosferatu? It looks great. I am very excited for Nosferatu. I think Robert Eggers is like I think he's the auteur director of our generation. I have no idea why some people don't like it, but that's fine. All film's subjective. But I thought The Witch was absolutely phenomenal. The Northman, I thought was phenomenal. The Lighthouse, I still don't know what the fuck that movie was, but it was brilliantly made. It was brilliantly made. I still don't know what the hell that movie was, but whatever. I love Robert Eggers as a filmmaker. And so I think him taking on a grander mythology like Nosferatu, I think is going to be something really special. And yeah, I'm very, very excited for it. I'm very excited for it. So we'll see. All right. Next up, that was Mason. Now we've got Riley, who writes, Twilight Boy, got my in-laws to watch The Penguin. They don't typically like comic book stuff and haven't seen The Batman, but they love this series. You know what? That's actually one of the great things about The Penguin, the series, is that you didn't have to watch The Batman to get it. I mean, I think they do a pretty good job establishing the show. A crazy man did something that wrecked a bunch of the city and left people in misery. And that's all you really needed to know for the series. So like if you watched The Batman, like I'm sure most of us did, then yes, you have all that background in The Penguin and you're catching more of the nuance. But you didn't have to watch The Batman. If you just jumped in and just started watching Penguin from episode 1, it was almost a little bit like a Montoya story. It's a little bit of Scarface story. You're starting with this guy who's a mid-level gangster with huge aspirations and builds his way up through conniving and trickery and deceit and violence and whatever, until he gets to where he wants to be. You didn't have to watch The Batman in order to appreciate it or to get it. And I think that's pretty cool. And I hope that they continue on with that sort of thing and they make sure I hope James Gunn never makes it that you have to do homework in order to watch a new movie or show coming out. So that would be good if they can continue that on. All right. Thanks for that, Riley. Next up, Alex Von Gollum writes, hey, I think another person that should be in the conversation of best actor without an Oscar is Ian McKellen. Ooh, I can't believe he hasn't won 2 nominations. Has Ian McKellen not won? He was nominated. I know he got nominated for Lord of the Rings. But you're right. Ian McKellen doesn't have an Oscar. He's great. I still contend that I think the best actor in the world that doesn't have an Oscar is Ralph Fiennes. He's just one of the world's best actors. He's absolutely phenomenal. He can do anything. Now, I used to think it was Gary Oldman. I used to have Gary Oldman was that title holder of Best Actor without an Oscar. And then he played Winston Churchill and won that Oscar. So that took it there. Ever since then, I think it's been Ralph Fiennes. So I still have him out there, but Ian McKellen's a good one. That's another good one. I like that pick. All right. Next up, we got Edgar Navarro who writes, what's your favorite food item at AMC? Not popcorn. You know, it's funny because somebody brought this up just earlier today. We were talking about this very, very subject on this morning's John Campea show. AMC, they have okay hot dogs and okay nachos, and they have not the best movie popcorn. I still like it. I still like their movie popcorn, but they don't have the best movie popcorn. But you know what they have, what AMC has that's really, really good? Their chicken strips. AMC, surprisingly enough, has absolutely killer chicken strips. It's really good. And if you get it with their ranch, it's pretty phenomenal. I haven't done this, but their chicken strips are so good. I would literally just walk into the movie theater, just order chicken strips and take it to go. I haven't done that, but I probably would. So that's my favorite. By the way, Patrick Stewart has just gifted 20 memberships in the live chat. Thank you, Patrick. It's incredibly generous of you, man. Between you and Tor, that's 30 memberships I got gifted tonight. Thank you so much for that, dude. That's incredibly generous of you. I appreciate that very much, man. All right. Just a few questions left here, guys. I had already turned off the super chats, so obviously that's why no new ones. You guys haven't been able to send in any new ones. Quinn Udi writes, have you seen Andor yet? No, but I'm very excited about it because it's not playing in my local theater. Thoughts? Also, what's your opinion on Sean Baker as a filmmaker? Bring on the filthy. I'll be honest, off the top of my head, I don't know who Sean Baker is. I'm sure if somebody mentioned something, I'd go, oh yeah, that guy, but I don't know who it is off the top of my head. Anora, that's one I've been very, very excited about because we talked about it. When did we talk about it? We talked about, oh yeah, that's right. We did a piece on the John Campea show a while ago. Probably a few weeks ago of some great looking upcoming R-rated films still left in 2024. And Anora was one of those films. And they're saying Sean Baker, Dr. Z saying Sean Baker did Anora. There you go. I don't know what else he's done. But I remember we watched all the preview stuff for Anora. It looks awesome. It looks kind of like a modern day, but a darker version of a Pretty Woman sort of situation. It looks awesome. Hasn't played around me, so I haven't had a chance to see it yet. But that is one that's absolutely been on my radar, and I've really begun. Oh, he's also done Florida Project. Oh, I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I never knew the name of the director off the top of my head who did Florida Project, Tangerine, Red Rocket. That's very cool. Okay. I like all those movies. So yes, I like all those movies. So I like him. Anyway, back to Anora. Again, haven't had the opportunity, and I haven't wanted to drive an hour and a half to go and watch it. But hopefully very soon I'll have a chance to watch it because I've been really looking forward to it ever since we did that piece on it a while ago. All right. Next up, we've got Zeki, who writes, do you think Marvel will ever make Elseworld stories that are not canon to the MCU, like Joker and the Batman? P.S. I've been watching you since 2013. Thank you so much for that, Zeki. You know what? I honestly don't know. I wish they would have the guts to do that. I wish they would have the testicular fortitude to do that. Because do you guys remember not long ago, a superhero movie would be made where that superhero was unique in their universe. There were no shared cinematic universes. You just made a good superhero movie to make a good superhero movie. Then along came shared cinematic universes, and those were exciting and great. And I'm one of these people that I don't believe you have to have either or. I don't believe it's either you gotta have single standalone movies or you gotta have shared cinematic universe. I don't believe that. I believe you can have both. Because while shared cinematic universes are great, those of you guys who've watched me since 2013, you've heard me say this before. The problem, as great as shared cinematic universes are, the problem is you kind of handcuff your storytellers because they got to stay within the confines of what's gone on in your cinematic universe so far. So just as an extreme example, A filmmaker can't come in and say, I got this great idea in my story where this is going to happen and then New York gets blown up. Now, after New York gets blown up, blah, 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 then you're going to have the head of the cinematic universe go, whoa, no, you can't do that because we're using New York in this movie coming, in this movie. Can't do that. Can't do that. The filmmaker's hands are tied. Now, that's just an extreme example, but you understand my point, right? The filmmakers are limited by what the shared cinematic universe has already established and what they want to do later on. And so you have to live a small corridor. Now, that's fine. That's great, but it's one of the limitations. I love the idea of having movies made outside of the cinematic universe where the storytellers can just do whatever they want to do. Let's not talk about Joker 2. Obviously, Joker 2 sucked, but the first Joker was amazing. Matt Reeves' The Batman is amazing. Why? Because they didn't have to stick to any cinematic universe. They were able to create their world the way they wanted to make it. It didn't have to fit into the mold of a shared cinematic universe already, and they could just do whatever they wanted to do with a clean slate. So I think it's ideal for you to have both. Have shared cinematic universe and tell some stories outside of the shared cinematic universe as well. I think that's the sweet spot. And I'll even say lean more into your shared cinematic universe. Yes, put more attention there. But that's why I'm excited that we're going to have this new DCU, but we're also going to have the Matt Reeves Batman stuff running alongside of it. I think that's great. I would love Marvel to do that, but I honestly don't think they have the guts to do it. I really don't. Listen, all due respect, I love Kevin Feige. You guys know that I do. But I don't think they ever want us to venture outside of the shared cinematic universe. I think the closest they'll do to that is in animation with stories like Marvel Zombies, What If, stuff like that. But I don't think they're ever going to do like a standalone Bishop movie that isn't connected to the MCU. I wish they would, but I just don't think they will. So, but hey, fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. All right. Next up, and our last question of the night comes to us from Alex Von Gollum, who writes, I think Nicholas Hoult is one of the most underappreciated actors working today. I agree with that sentiment. He's better in each movie. His performance in Juror Number 2 is great, where he tells us a lot with his face and eyes. Listen, even if you go to something, what was that movie he did with Ralph Fiennes like a year or two ago? What is the name of it again? Where Ralph Fiennes is the chef. I'm freezing on the name of it. You guys know the one I'm talking about, where Ralph Fiennes is the chef and like murders everybody. And The Menu. Thank you. Shadow Knight was the first one to put it in. By the way, guys, if you haven't watched The Menu, it's so good. I really, really like The Menu a lot. Anyway, Nicholas Hoult, I've never played a character like that. Then you see him in a movie like Warm Bodies. He's great in that. Then he was even in that Nick Cage Dracula movie where he played Nick Cage's familiar. And the name of the character in Renfield. Is that what it was called? Renfield? Anyway, listen, you may not have loved the movie overall, but come on, Hoult was great in that. Hoult is always good. And by the way, do you guys remember he was the runner-up for playing Batman in Matt Reeves' Batman? It came down to Nicholas Hoult and Robert Pattinson. I think they made the right choice. I think Pattinson's the better fit to play Batman, but they wouldn't have gone wrong. They wouldn't have been going wrong if they did get Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult is a absolutely fabulous actor, and I agree with you. I think Ben Foster is still the most underappreciated actor out there. I think Chiwetel Ejiofor is still right up there amongst the most underappreciated actors, but I agree with you. I think Nicholas Hoult is up there as well. I really don't think he gets the appreciation that he deserves. And all right, guys, listen, I think I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to take a couple more questions. If you're in the live chat and you have a question, and I'm not going to guarantee that I'll answer all of them. I'm not going to answer all of them, but I'll pick a couple. Type in all capital letters, question, : and then I'll pick out one or two, and I'll answer a few of them. So let's see. We've got Q is asking, Question, do you think Captain America 4 should establish some sort of Avengers team by the end? No. I'm hoping for a post-credit scene of Sam recruiting Shang-Chi, or at least looking at a roster. Look, do I think they need to avoid starting the formation of an Avengers team? No, they don't need to avoid it. If they do it, that's perfectly fine. Do I feel like they need to do that in Captain America 4? Also, no. Just make a good movie. And if they do start to assemble the team there, great. If they don't, that's fine too. So I don't think it's something that they have to do. Carlo writes, question, good morning from Germany. Good morning from Germany. John, I love the martial arts show Warrior. I loved it too, but the third season doesn't really feel like a finale. How high do you think the chances are for a fourth season? I think the chances for season 4 are minimal at best. I think the show is done. And I'll agree with you. I enjoyed season 3. But seasons 1 and 2 were like so fantastic. Season 3 was good. It was good, but I think it was my least favorite of the seasons, even though I still enjoyed it. But guys, if you didn't watch Warrior, try giving it a shot. It's a really, really fun show. I enjoyed it a great deal, but I don't think there's a very good chance we get another season. I could be wrong about that, but that's just my guess right now. Let's see here. John A.M. writes, question, do you think J.K. Rowling should loosen her creative control over Harry Potter so Warner Brothers can freely create more Wizarding World content? No. No, I don't. Would you? Like, see, that's the thing. Like when people go, Sony should give Spider-Man back to Marvel. Would you? Of course you wouldn't, unless you're a fucking idiot. If you were a fucking idiot, maybe you would. But no, you wouldn't. And neither would Sony, nor should Sony. If Marvel really wants Spider-Man back, go to Sony and offer to pay them an amount of money that they can't possibly say no to. Otherwise, no, Sony should not give Spider-Man back. You'd have to be an idiot to do that. If you were J.K. Rowling, would you just give up rights to Harry Potter? Of course you wouldn't, unless you were a damn fool. And you are clearly no damn fool, so you would not, and neither would I. So no, J.K. Rowling should not give it up. Listen, if Warner Brothers wants it that bad, go to her and make an offer she can't refuse. Go offer her $5 billion. Go offer her $20 billion, whatever it's going to take. Now, they won't want to do that because it's not worth that much, and that's understandable. But yeah, no way. No way should she give that up, because I wouldn't. Anyway, Jeremy Miller writes, question, did you hear that Amazon is shutting down Freevee? Yes, but it's really not a big deal because they're just taking all the Freevee content and putting it in ad-supported Prime Video anyway, so anybody can go and watch it, just ad-supported. So I don't really think it's that big of a deal that they're shutting it down. I'll be honest with you, I never watched Freevee anyway, so it really doesn't impact me very much. Let's see. Where are we at? Steven Stranger Thing writes, question, where are studios at with a Garfield, The Amazing Spider-Man 3? It's not happening. That's where they're at. Would awesome to have Hardy's Venom in it. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Now, I do think there's a chance that Andrew Garfield, who is my personal favorite Spider-Man, all due respect to Tobey Maguire, who I love as Spider-Man, all due respect to Tom Holland, I should say, who I love as Spider-Man, but Andrew Garfield, by a little bit, is my favorite. I do think there's a chance we see him as Spider-Man again. I think there's a chance we do see him as Spider-Man again, but I do not believe we're not going to get an Amazing Spider-Man 3. That's not going to happen, unfortunately. I mean, you never know. Anything can happen years from now. But yeah, it does not look like we're going to get it doesn't look like we're going to get a Spider-Man 3. Let's see. Multiverse is broken rights. This will be our last question today. If you were the president of Lucasfilm, what direction would you take Star Wars in? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. See, this is the problem with us as fans, and I include myself in this. Is everybody thinking, we know Star Wars would be good if they did this. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Whatever this is, it won't be good just because they go in a certain direction. The problem with Star Wars is they're just not executing. They're not executing. They're not making good movies. I don't care. You'll be, well, if you made it the Old Republic, then it would be good. No, then you just have a bad movie that's about the Old Republic. Well, if you made it about a young Jabba the Hutt, it would be good. No, then you just have a bad movie that just happened to be about Jabba the Hutt. It's like I always tell people, like if they hadn't already made a bunch of Doctor Doom in movies, people today would say, well, if they had Doctor Doom, it would be good. No, because they've done movies with Doctor Doom, and that doesn't make it good. You just got to make good movies. Like everybody's always looking for formula. We always want to look for a formula, a magic formula that this will make something good. No, it doesn't. You just gotta do the basics of storytelling right. And if you do that, you'll be fine. But here's the other big thing. The other big thing is have a plan. You'll make your life easier in trying to put together quality product if you start with any plan. And that ultimately is where the sequel series fell off the rails. They had no plan. We'll just figure it out when we get there. We'll make it up as we go along. I'm not saying when they started writing Star Wars The Force Awakens that they had to have every plot detail and every single line of dialogue all the way through to the end of the third movie already completely charted out. I'm not saying that, but you at least got to have a basic structure of where things are heading. Okay, you're creating this character, Rey. Okay, great. Let's go. What are we going to do with her? Well, she's mysterious. Okay, wonderful. So, but by the end of it, what does she end up being? Oh, we don't know yet. What? Yeah, we don't know what she's going to be yet. We don't know. But you're making this movie and you're saying she's going to have this mysterious thing. Like, don't you think you should at least know what that mysterious thing is so you can create a story arc and a narrative through line that will make sense, so when we arrive at that point, like you'll have some direction, some basic direction of where you're going with it? Nah. So when you ask me what direction when I go, I don't know any direction. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you do Old Republic. It doesn't matter if you do New Republic. It doesn't matter if you do High Republic. It doesn't matter if you do New Jedi Order era. It doesn't matter if you do Yuzhang Vong. It doesn't matter if you do the old Heir to the Empire series. It doesn't matter. Just at least have a direction so you can have a basic idea of where your ending point is so you can structure your narrative accordingly and then go from there. Anyway, by the way, Patrick Stewart, again, also gifted 5 more memberships to people. Thank you, Patrick. It's very generous of you, man. Appreciate that very much. And all right, guys, that'll do it for tonight's installment of Open Mic. Thank you guys so much for joining me here tonight for this more casual, kind of laid back, just more discussion kind of thing. I'm really glad you guys joined me tonight. Big special thank you to all you guys who, first of all, those couple of you, Patrick and Tor, who sent in like memberships for people. Thank you so much for that. But also everybody who sent in questions. Number 1, because you gave us fun, interesting things to talk about. And number 2, you supported my channel as you did it. And everybody involved with our channel, thank you guys so very much for your support. All right. I'm going to go and actually do a little bit of work, get ready for tomorrow's John Campea show. I hope you guys will come back and join us for the John Campea show tomorrow. We'll look forward to having you. It's going to be me, Ray Jonathan, and of course, Chris Carr is going to be joining us as she always does on Wednesdays. We'll look forward to seeing you then. My name's John Campea, and until next time, everybody, bye-bye.